Today, I want to just really focus on how we can help you guys use art to upgrade your environment, whether that be through color, form, shapes, music, even anything that you kind of can use just to help your environment provoke you in a more positive way, or at least help guide you to the emotions you would like to feel and the frequency like you would like to have around you. Peace and love, family. It's your boy Kiyoshi. It's the No Scope Podcast. We back at it, as you can see. I'm with my boy,
JDizzle.
and we in the new studio setup. You know what I'm saying? Just had to switch up the vibe, but we out here. Today, I want to just really focus on how we can help you guys use art to upgrade your environment, whether that be through color, form, shapes, music, even anything that you kind of can use just to help your environment provoke you in a more positive way, or at least help guide you to the emotions you would like to feel and the frequency like you would like to have around you. But I would like to start with this kind of as just a question to build off of. Everything has a vibrational signature: color, sound, form. These elements have the power to restrict or to uplift. Is your environment conducive to the growth, emotions, and achievements you wish to pursue? And I don't know. For me, that's like I think we underplay how much art really is incorporated to our everyday lives, whether that be um, in our rooms, at our jobs, outside, even the places that we find ourselves commuting to, the roads, how things just affect us in general when it comes to the conversation of color, form, or shape. What you think?
No, I'd agree with that. I'm still stuck on just the intro, the opening line. You want to boss up your life? All you got to do is get in with me. That's all. That's all I heard when you said that. But
Nah, straight up, that shit ringing right now.
yeah, shout out to Boss Man. But yeah. That's just currently stuck in my head at the moment. But other than that, yeah, I'd agree, man. I just say that that not only is my everyday life, but I feel like everyone's everyday life is more filled with art and creation than people even realize. I know we were touching a little bit on like interior design earlier, off camera or whatever, but just in general, like I don't think people realize how much like it can affect or it just even plays into a role of your everyday life, or just even like uh simple playlists. Like every single store or anything you go into
Mm,
is never silent. Like
nah, that's true.
there's always some type of something like
That's real.
music or whatever. So yeah,
Yeah,
it's really no
Belt be
escaping it.
going crazy. I can't lie. Every time I'm in Belt, it's something jazzy or it got some type of
What
what I'm
you doing
saying,
in
little
Belt?
hype to it. Bro, it's the mall, bro. You pass through it walking in, bro. Stop playing.
No, I mean I'm not saying Belk not bad.
I always park on that side.
I
That's
don't know
funny.
when's the last time I've been in Belk. I was like, what's going on? But no, that's what's up. Yeah, I always catch it at Starbucks.
Nah, absolutely. That's funny. You saying that makes me like realize how many like I feel like we've even been places sometimes and been like, nah, you feel me? That bitch like got a little bop to it. But nah, that's funny. I think that like what I really want to touch on is like how we can make sure that we're focusing on like what parts of this that we have dictation over, whether like and like you were saying, it really comes to mind for like the interior design or just kind of like the whole flow of how you go about setting up like your living space. I think that in its essence is a good starting place to really try to think of like how can you use art, use the way that you want certain areas in the room sectioned off to like all of these ways of designing is really all of it carries a vibration, all of it carries like a frequency to it, you know what I'm saying? Like whether you think about it or not, like this these chairs and this whole setup being at this part of the room makes the entire room be affected in a different way, you know what I'm saying? So just really like thinking about things from that aspect. Like of course we could go into posters and just like art you could throw up into the wall and stuff and but I don't know, I think it takes sometimes even taking a dive into studying art theory in a certain way, in the sense of like colors and things, because like I said, all of these characteristics carry vibrations and frequencies to them, and they provoke us as human beings, being the type of way that we function in certain ways that could be positive or negatives, just different charges of the same thing. But I don't know. Ultimately, I really do think that we got to just start taking it upon ourselves to like use art in general to really take a step forward with like expressing ourselves through how we live.
Mhm. Well, even just the thought of like expression. I've always like uh, dabbled or like just played with the thought of how like my favorite colors to look at are my favorite colors to wear, or like my favorite colors to wear are my favorite colors on like a car, or on a building, even if you will. So it's like different colors or different moods can provoke different emotions for sure. So, but I've just always like been intrigued by that. Or then even just as you get older, or as you change with the seasons, you know what I'm saying, your preferences can change as well. I feel like so, as whether that be like taste buds or like just interest, in general. But I feel like the shift is mad interesting. Like I feel myself like branching out to a lot more different colorways as far as maybe what I wear, or just what I'm seeking, or even just all the way down to I try to play a lot when I'm like pretty active on social media, just even trying to play around with like layering of posts and stories and just smaller stuff, but like always like I always color coordinate captions or color coordinate fonts to try to, you know what I mean, to just so the not even necessarily for anyone specifically, but more so just for myself, like it looks more aesthetically pleasing. Um, or I'm kind of just like pretty well aware of like the style or what I like at the moment, and so that just kind of keeps me pretty like grounded, or at least navigated in where I want to go or what I want to do on like a decision by decision basis, you know. But
Absolutely. Like, it's funny because for me, like, I found myself, of course, always being a creator and always, like, being rooted in the arts, as you could say, as far as just having a connection with the type of music I like you saying, just having a clear understanding of, like, what things I would lean into. So it's like, for me, I think that when I think about how can I use art to upgrade my environment, I really start with where do I want to go? You know what I'm saying? What direction am I looking to go in my life? You know what I'm saying? What type of things am I aspiring for? And I think that in a lot of ways, I want to resonate with things that are telling stories that I resonate within my journey, whether that be trying to evolve my art to a higher form, you know what I'm saying, being more technical, or how I want to treat my family, what type of financial situation I want to have, you know what I'm saying? Like, I think that we could use the medium of course, for me, I'm a painter. Of course, I'm thinking like actual visual art. I think that's where my mind first goes when it comes to how I could. I actually have one of my favorite paintings that I've done in my room right now, and I think that since I put it up, I could feel like just how my room just feels different. Before, I just didn't have nothing, anything. I
mm-hmm.
got like light gray colors and stuff in there, but um, for me, it's like it has a lot of energy in that piece. It's something that whenever I wake up, I can look at and be proud of myself that I even like, you know what I'm saying, put a piece like that together, but also just literally the energetic charge that it has for me personally, how it provokes me. Like it's easier for me to hop up out my bed, you know what I'm saying, just
Mm-hmm.
getting up and having something to look at like that. It's like, you know what I'm saying, helping me stay grounded to just like shit, I should paint, you know what I'm saying, or I should do something. Just I should do something no scope involved as far as developing the company, developing myself, learning something. So I think that that's where we maybe can all start in that conversation of like really just finding out like what type of person are you, who are you trying to be, what type of things do you aspire to be, what type of people do you look up to, and like it could be even be a picture of those type of people. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
for me, it's like there's a lot of people that I find myself looking up to. I mean, I don't think I would ever throw a picture up of them, but it's like I can see how I know a lot of people that do have just pictures up of like their favorite basketball player, or, you know what I'm saying, if they
Mm-hmm.
ball, or you know what I'm saying, things like that.
Yeah, everybody used to have. Well, it's not in my now, but back in my parents' house, I used to have this like bobblehead of Vince Carter dunking a basketball in the like on a shelf or whatever
Nah, I remember that.
from some garage sale or something like that. But no, I definitely feel that. I
You got
mean,
a vibe.
I've currently have this little. I have like a coloring book, which is Chance's like first technically studio album, but third album if you kind of like if you know you know. Shout out J Lo too. I don't know if you've been seeing. Anyway, not to get too sidetracked, but I have this one coloring book poster that hangs above like my bed or whatever, and like more than what the album like has done for me, I guess throughout my life. I also just remember the time period in which my boy Isaac got. At that time period in general, when Chance was selling, like he was trying to promote his album heavy, and he would sell them in sets of like 10 for like dirt cheap.
Mm,
And I remember because this is like circa 2016, 2017, probably 2016 though. But yeah, my boy had just copped like 10 of them, and with no intentions of keeping all 10. Like he literally copped them just so he could just give them out to every one of the homies
that's
or
hard.
whatever. And so I even I've been meaning to like frame it as well. Again, not even just because like how much I enjoy the album, but I just will always forget like. And then there would be certain times too where even in Chicago, you walk by certain boulevards or certain places and they'll all be plastered everywhere, or like, and
Mm,
then even in Charlotte, like he kind of brought that to our specific neighborhood or community. So I just always get flashbacks of like that time period and just like a lighter like more not even joyful but just more like childlike memories. I feel like, and
absolutely.
the closer you are to a childhood in general, I feel like the less you have to delegate and like stress about.
Absolutely. I think that like the intention is trying to find something to connect to. Um, I think that everything that we're basically even touching on is just all mechanisms that us as humans use to get to a certain place in the sense of like using things like art and just memories that we have of certain things as a catalyst of energy to pull from. You know what I'm saying? To
Mm-hmm.
be able to get to where you're trying to go. Because, like, especially in this day and age, it's hard to stay supposedly motivated or stay even what we should be is discipline. And you have to, like, put things in place to whenever you reach these roadblocks in the sense of are you going to make this certain decision. It's like the mechanism that you've put in place beforehand to like make sure that you make the right decision and go the right way instead of doing the thing that is probably more self-sabotaging or self-destructing. But so that meaning like everything that we are up until this point just as human beings in general is like from our ancestors and what decisions they ended up making, the tendencies that they had, the foods that they ate. Like we're basically just a culmination of all of these people that has basically like made it. You know what I'm saying to have us or whatnot. And if you really start to look at things from that aspect, you can take a second back to like look at yourself unbiasedly and start to try to look at the science of the things and make sure that you're like provoking whatever you are. You know what I'm saying? Whether that be the something that you like always since you were a kid, whether that been like ninjas or monster trucks or whatever it may be, or just like something that's always provoked you in a negative way, just from the sense of just like your energy from the stuff that you kind of don't even understand. You know what I'm saying? Because like most of the stuff that bothers us, and in the sense of like even we could even go into color, but or just people or the certain situations that happen is all from places of just like we don't really know where that's coming from. You know what I'm saying? It's deeper and more complex and all in the subconscious things that we're not on the surface conscious of. So, like, put in like roadblocks in place for us to be able to make sure that we're leaning into that higher self rather than that lower self. Like you always have been somebody in like our boy Fiji, a close friend of ours that's a skater, has just always been very closely connected to music, and y'all have really helped me like understand like how it's supposed to be used almost. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like it really, really can be a healer in a sense. It can, uh, like I said, be a catalyst of energy to be charged up or to be even help with sadness or whatever the case may be. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, no, well, it's funny because um, there's this like meme or idea that like or just something that I've seen on social media for the last couple of years to where it's like when you're listening to your favorite song or whatever And when the line that's supposed to hurt you the most like didn't hurt you enough, so you got to restart the whole song. I heard somebody say that or whatever, and I don't know, that concept is just so funny because um, I think sometimes it's just about like the idea that like sometimes I feel like a lot of people don't even really know how they'll feel like you're saying, or how they at least maybe interpret or put into words. So it's just will be funny sometimes that you can come across maybe like an emotion or words or like something that just exactly would explain or describe how you would feel, and then it just makes it even all the more wild and funny because it's like how would you know to it's just deep because it's like it's not even about how would you know to say that, it's like you going through this as well as, and it's like you were able to like communicate it even better, and you're further along within like your journey I feel like than I was, you know what I'm saying, and then that can be even a kickstarter for like the listener to get up off their ass and do what they need to do. But yeah, no, it's just funny because I guess that's more so referring to no, not just sad music though. That's anything, people who can connect in into like artists and music that way is just so interesting to see the like inner workings and connectivity just through like life and just in how in similar dimensions that everyone can just go through very similar concepts and ideas and mishaps. So, but yeah, I generally can connect to music that way, and then also even I met like or made a lot of good friends or good connections just through how we connect through certain songs or artists as well too. And that's a nice icebreaker. You can tell you a lot about um, just someone. I feel like, and just their interests and likes and stuff like that. So
Nah, absolutely. It's funny because like what you're talking about is like that unknown that we all are known like about, you know what I'm saying, in the sense of just those weird things that creates connectivity in that type of way. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of like just things having that type of line and like, dang, how did that completely describe how I was feeling? You know what I'm saying? Like all of us
mm-hmm.
being that those type of human beings that feel that, you know what I'm saying? And that's connected to that untouchable, you know what I'm saying? This is just from a dimension that we all like have a connection to, you know what I'm saying, in that type of way. And I feel like all of us can like um make sure that we're like really trying to pull from that and learn how to navigate that realm. You know what I'm saying? Like taking it. That's what I would advise for the audience to do is make sure that we are trying our best to like learn how to navigate that dimension that's unfelt. You know what I'm saying? Like having, and that's usually through spirituality. That's through like just connecting on a deeper level as a person with yourself and with others, with your environment. Um, and I think that that's like this most beautiful part about this life that we're living. You know what I'm saying? That is what makes me an artist. I feel like, you know what I'm saying, just wanting to dive into that version of this reality, this layer of this reality, should I say, and just trying to be a master in that space as well. You know what I'm saying? Like, I think that that's just that's as powerful as being a mathematician or being, you know what I'm saying, street smart or having intellectual knowledge as well, because it's like at the end of the day, that is the version. That's the part of us that helps us tap into intuition. You know what I'm saying? Into being connected with that part of ourselves that knows better than we do on a conscious level. You know what I'm saying? Because, like I said, that's all from that part of us that's connected to that dimension. So, and it's funny because, like, I know for both of us, especially like the upbringing that we have, like that realm has really just guided us in a lot of ways. You know what I'm saying? And probably the most pivotal parts in our lives because we've been tapped in with that realm in the sense of like understanding that expressiveness and that connection to the unknown and the that connectivity to just coincidences or synchronicity,
Mm-hmm.
things of that nature. And I think that like at the end of the day, that's I would say is probably like the most important part of life in general. You know what I'm saying? Because like I think that that's why we're here. You know what I'm saying? Because at the end of the day, anything else is kind of like numbers, facts. You know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
Just stuff that's I don't know what not interesting or even encoded into like the deeper knowings of what we are. You know what I'm saying? At this point, I would say.
Yeah, no, that's real. It's real. I mean, I think it's even interesting to think that like, or it's even yeah, it's intriguing to think about people who like numbers and graphs and like things like that. Like, but that does do it for certain people, you know, or that does like itch that certain scratch that like a certain people do need. So like that's always just intriguing for me as well. Or me and my sister often talk about how like you know how they say certain people are like left brain or use like more their left side of the brain more than their or one
Yeah,
in their right. You know, one's being like more artistic and the other being more. I don't want to butcher it, but there's like
intellectual and
yeah,
just
it's like a concept behind it,
decisions making skills. Yeah,
and I feel like I'm always just I'm not gonna say maybe equally intrigued, but I feel like it's equally as important to like uphold conversations and relationships with people who may be on the other side of that of the quote unquote brain spectrum or however you want to go about it as well. Just because it's just so intriguing to think about, like you know what matters to you or what like gets you going is just irrelevant to the next person. You know what I'm saying, or vice
absolutely.
and maybe vice versa as well. You know what I mean. So what keeps them up at night or what you know what I mean motivates them to get up in the morning will have nothing to do with why how you live your next 24. So I don't know. I just think that's intriguing as well too. And then just paying attention to like, or not more so paying attention, but just you know even how close knit y'all lives are together and how that's come you know into play. And then even the fact that your interests and disinterests, like how that's maybe kept y'all at our arm's distance or brought y'all even closer. You know, like I just think that all the inner workings in between everyone's individuality is just so interesting. And obviously, I feel like arts can play a very big like role within it. No matter how like deeply dove in someone can be into it or like not at all, you know, it can be just very telling in certain ways. I feel like.
Absolutely. It's funny because like I used to think that most people like the average person isn't a very like abstract or artistic type person, but that's really like the older I get and the more that I learn about people, I feel like that's the opposite of the truth. Like whether you realize it or not, some people are very aware of it, some people aren't, but it's like these aspects of design, interior design, paintings, music, the way that you set up your furniture in your crib, the way that you set up your bathroom, like all of these things are artistic concepts. You know what I'm saying? If you really boil down to it, in the sense of like, if you look at it from a place of something as being objectively good or bad, it's usually through the lens of like, how does this make me feel? Especially in the sense of like interior design or just like how a space makes you feel. Because like, I realize I come from like homeless shelters and just like not having much. So it's like I realized most of the low income cribs we had, it's like there was usually like yellow wallpaper, like yellow lights. It
Mm-hmm.
was dim though, like dark colored wood. Like it didn't even feel good in these places. It's like it was uh, bred to like be this way, because that's actually a topic I wanted to touch on. It if looking at history and art, looking at the history of art and creating is what helps us understand our society as we know it today. Why do we used to create masterful cathedrals and now all houses and buildings look the same? Because individuality is not promoted in societal institutions. So it's like that's like I said, it's not like these houses were created before a time that we had the knowledge to create, like I said, cathedrals or just um, beautiful works of art, and just creating things that have more round shapes into them rather than squares and boxes and stuff like that. Because I've even looked into studies that say like how energy and uh, I'll just say energy because I'm not that well versed in it, but just how energy flows in certain spaces. It usually has a more fluid flow in places that have like a curved roof to it or just more curvature within the setup. You know what I'm saying? Like
Mm-hmm.
houses that have boxes like cubicles or school classrooms or hospital beds. Like all of these
Mm-hmm.
things were strategically made in the way that they are because the people that created them understand these design concepts. Like they've been used for a long time. If you really look at how the fabric of our society has been built, it's all rooted in art. You know what I'm saying? In the sense of how is this going to provoke this our society to make them act in a certain way or feel a certain type of way.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, no, that's it's interesting that you say that specifically, just because. Well, it's actually quite alarming, like how the changes you start to see, and then the changes that like never seem to quite make it like around. Just as far as like referring to like schooling specifically, um, it just doesn't like the architecture or like the way that a school or a classroom looks like has not changed since the entirety of like we've been alive for real, which is just so interesting because that's really like one of the only things that are, and even houses and like apartments too have kind of always looked the same since we've been alive. But it's just very interesting to think about because the phone model changes every year, a couple times a year, or like laptop or a
New
car,
clothes.
you know what I'm saying? We was riding horses, you know what I'm saying? Now it's like there's a Tesla trucks, you know what I'm saying? So it's just like it's just so um, intriguing how the call for demand in
It lets you know the intention.
yeah. Also, it's just I don't know. It just is. We're also not receiving like quite results that I believe that we would want to see when it comes to schooling as well. Anyway, so it's like it's just interesting that it wouldn't dawn on the fact that like maybe certain change or just any change would maybe provoke more change within results and not even just education, just like in general. Like I feel like the more you're afraid to evolve or to move, it's like the more you're just gonna kind of stay the same and just stay in the same. But then everything else is changing as well. So even then you don't really stay the same. You just kind of
Go with the flow.
yeah there.
Yeah. That's funny, and that's actually like a very strong point because I think that it is true for many people that like a lot of their environments are conducive for stagnation and
Mm,
uh build up and just not being able to break through the next level or what I'm saying, have a strong flow to reach the desired destination. So ultimately, man, I think that what we can really start to think about as a people is like how can we start to create things that, like I always say, that produce positive results that provoke people in positive ways that make people want to uplift one another or just be positive in general. And how can we, and that starts with first us taking a step back and seeing where we're at as people and using the tool of art to make sure that we're magnifying who we are and we're expressing ourselves at a higher level because that's what art is necessarily for. You know what I'm saying? It's like how can we how can we describe the undescribable? You know what I'm saying? Or how can we capture the free flowing? You know what I'm saying? So it's
mm,
like it helps. It creates uh, the impossible to be possible. So just think about it from that aspect. You know what I'm saying? How can I, as an individual, use the beauty of art, which is basically the. I heard actually. I gotta look at that because I want to give that to y'all. I heard that art is anything that provokes emotion. So now that we've just addressed that, most things in your life is art, whether you are aware of it or not. You know what I'm saying? Take it upon yourself to dictate the aspects of that you have the power over. And I think that if you really dive into it, you'll see how creative you really are, how creative you can get, and just create a deeper connection with yourself through the medium of art. You know what I'm saying? Whatever that is, even if that's like a little dance routine in the morning or some shit. You know what I'm saying? Just to,
mm.
because I actually heard that scientifically, like just motion in general just gets the flow of your blood flowing, your energy flowing, like it gets the muscles untense and things of that nature. So it's like use these tools to elevate yourself and your experience.
No, I agree. 103. Um, I agree. I don't know. There's a couple like examples that I could get into, but I think there's examples that anyone could be able to like. I feel like that's well said. So that's open ended enough to where I feel like people can find the parallels and like can understand and like even just think of certain examples that like they can relate to. With this like um, infrastructure. So, but no, I agree. I agree wholeheartedly. That just the last part you had said just made me think about. I grew up watching this movie called Aquila and the Bee or whatever. But it's just about a spelling bee. But the way eventually she ended up with remembering the hardest words or whatever would be with like some type of movement or motion or whatever, rather than just trying to like pull out your brain what you
Mm,
see. It would she would actually like there would be taps or steps or like even almost and it's like that stood for something. So it was like that's an easier indicator rather than just trying to really just willpower the or will pull from your brain. So I don't know, but that's just what made me think of because even no matter how true or like real that story is or not, as a kid I remember watching it and feeling like, okay, word, did she just like that's how you unlock it? You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know, that was the key right there. Like everything needed its own little like key bank
yeah,
or
that
its own
connection, that
little
connectivity. You know what
yeah.
I'm saying?
So
That bridge.
but it was just interesting that you had said that. Or even lastly, like I always think about growing up. I heard this recently on like TikTok too or something like that. But just old heads or teachers would always say that like you don't know anything out of this book, but you could recite like three or four of your favorite rappers like songs or whatever. But then now you can actually see teachers. Not saying that nothing to teachers back then, but now you can really see like educators starting to try to like actually maybe use a dance or use
Yeah.
like real songs or even popular songs, but then change them to like ideals just so because it's like why would you fight what is gravitating, or what is like
What's
people are
already
gravitating
resonating?
towards. So it's like it's easier to kind of go with the flow than to try to like fight, force it. So um, it's just interesting to see that why would you not? Or even I remember lastly too, I was like in like junior or senior year, so it was like at first it was almost kind of annoying to look at, but I remember this one English teacher would just break down different Biggie Small songs and just point out different similes and metaphors and um, just underlining meanings. And like I said, the first day was like kind of like silly, but then after a while I got what she was getting at because that was probably that was the most like at first we laughing at her, but that was the most engaged people I've probably ever been for real. So it's like, who matters? Why does it matter if it's goofy or not? If it's actually gonna have you like tapped in for at least an hour and a half out of your day, rather than just like not caring. So you know,
Nah, that's powerful. That's crazy because I didn't even really like that. Those are great examples, actually, like that from angles that I wasn't even maybe thinking about. Because it's like you said, it's really just that bridge and that connectivity, that mechanism to get us to where we're trying to go. You know what I'm
hmm
saying? In the sense of being that catalyst of energy. But nah, man, that's definitely what it is. I think that at the end of the day, man, just be more thoughtful, be more creative, tap into that deeper version of yourself that you know is connected, and that would definitely be my advice. Make sure that you're just being more thoughtful on how you can use these art concepts to elevate your experience, elevate your environment, and just express yourself at a higher level. Once again, my name is Kiyoshi. This is my boy,
JDizzle.
and it's no scope, man. We out. Love, peace.